Hi.
Hi. Hi, Nadeem. Okay,
Hi.
so welcome everyone. Sorry, there was a technical glitch, so we couldn't start earlier. But thank you all for joining us at the introduction of the People Analytics program. I am Sabah Javed. I'm the associate at Optimizr, and we have with us today the managing director of Optimizr, Nadeem Khan. So to start off, I will be starting off with a little introduction of Optimizr, just for reference to our viewers right now and the audience that has gathered, that if you have any questions at any point, just note them down in the comments and we will be getting back to you. So starting off with the reason why we've all gathered here is that we're starting this People Analytics program. A little insight on Optimizr. Optimizr basically functions as a management and HR consultancy that is based in the UK. It operates globally, offering training and consultancy services across borders. It is involved in research and development around building capabilities, and it is very essential to realize how important it is to bridge the gap between organizational strategy and workforce strategy. So the purpose of this session today is that we're launching our People Analytics program that Nadeem will be giving insight on. And we will be providing real-time context in terms of COVID-19, where the industry should be heading towards, what role does data, technology, and analytics play in the real-time context, and how this people analytics leader will help program, will help organization leaders like you in deriving an organizational strategy for your companies. I am also very excited to inform you all, to all the audience and HR leaders that we have with us today, is that we will be launching our Decode program. Decode is basically our CSR initiative that we are starting. For those of you who have watched our Reset series, will kind of know what Decode will be about.
Would you like to share any slides, Sabah, if you like?
Yes, I will be sharing slides. So basically, Decode is about it is about HR leaders, and it is about decoding the organizational DNA that is present within organizations and how we can kind of develop that. So we will be focusing on a series similar to Reset, and we'll be talking about this in our post this session. So
we can't view your slides.
Just a second, I will open my slides. Can you see them now?
No. Have you shared it with the screen? We've done the share screen option.
Yes, I'm just turning it on.
Okay.
Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, so starting off with our People Analytics program that we are launching this program for the HR leaders, and how Nadeem will be giving insight on what it is about. Decode is basically about for HR leaders who are kind of working on developing a strategy, and also the fact that we want to highlight people who are deriving this kind of organizational strategy, or who are working or doing some important work relative to this crisis, how you're dealing with it in terms of management, how you're dealing with it in terms of managing your operations, work home strategies. And this will be all highlighted in the Decode series. And we will be starting this post this session. So I will be leading the CSR initiative. So you guys can reach out to me, you can reach out to Nadeem, or reach out to our page. And we will be featuring you, branding this entire initiative, and hence highlighting people like you, or people, organizational leaders that are part of this program, to kind of come forward and talk about that organizational strategy and how your organization is dealing with this crisis at hand. I think as our consultancy functions, we are relatively have experience in this field, but it's experts like you that we want to highlight in our series, and kind of feature you guys to come forward and talk about your opinions and insight relative to the industry.
Great. So what you're saying, Sabah, just to
Yes.
reiterate to people that Decode is a series for people who want to highlight what they've done post COVID, and if you want to share your insights as a thought leader, as an analytics leader, or just as an HR practitioner and leader, we would welcome you to join us on the show. We will host the show. It would either be Sabah or myself that will be obviously the host of the show. And if you're interested to participate, to come on screen, come live with us, or, exactly in a similar fashion that we are today, we would be delighted to have you on board in our upcoming series or show, very similar to the one that we did in Ramadan, which was called the Reset. So you can have a look at that. It's available on our YouTube channel. So I'm really excited about that. Thank you.
Yes, same here, Nadeem. And Nadeem is basically, he has a CIPD Level 7 qualified certification. He has written the book, Introduction to People Analytics. It is about a practical guide to data-driven HR, and he has co-authored this with David Milner. We have a lot of reviews going on with the launch of this book, especially one that was launched by People Matters, that is the HR magazine in Asia. And they have written that when people write a book, they always worry about finding the right data and time to launch that book. Introduction to People Analytics by Nadeem Khan and Dave Milner has a great business case in the backdrop of this pandemic. This new scenario is the best reason for HR people to read this book. And this course is basically a slight insight on what this book is about, what kind of strategies do HR leaders kind of need to implement in this sort of pandemic. And Nadeem will be touching upon that soon. So starting off, Nadeem, would you like to share with our audience in terms of who a people analytics leader is and what a people analytics leader basically does?
Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Sabah, for having me in the amazing introduction. I think it's important to understand, just to give a background to people where HR is, in order for people to understand, what we're talking about. So, if I start off with a brief presentation, I hope you all can see this. So, is this clearly visible, the whole slide?
Yes, this is. You can turn on your presentation so that we can view it.
Okay, great. So what has happened, just very briefly, what has happened is we've written this in the book, but I just want to highlight where I'm coming from. Today, there has been a huge evolution in HR, specifically because I'm talking to HR. I'm basically talking to the HR fraternity. And what's happened is we were considered as a personnel function, but now we've moved towards a business-oriented function. And that has happened because of the, I would say, ubiquitous technologies, or one of the reasons why it's happened is because of the Internet of Things or digital technologies. And we've become more responsive from a process or efficiency towards becoming more responsive. And we're moving towards more of a business driven function, right? So we need to have commerciality. The second thing that we need to understand is all the all the HR, all the value of the business has gone into intangibles, and these intangibles, which are categorized above, also have a human element to it. They have intellectual property, social and emotional, and the consumer property. When you're looking at the balance sheet, there is a specific region which is called the goodwill of the company, and that is basically all the intangible value. Most of it comes from the human capital, which we've categorized in our book, and that has probably pushed us as the people function, which we have termed in our book, and the importance of the chief people officer being the right or the left hand of the CEO, of the leadership of the company. So the importance is just to not just for a company, not just to report on on all these data points or the intangible data points that we're talking about, but also to analyze those data points and not just see what's happened in the past, but take that information and be able to optimize that data. So that's what's really important. That's focusing more on the future, especially since we're in a pandemic. What I've seen a lot of companies do is just take the HR data, but when we talk about people data, we're looking at the strategic insights, or all of the data points that we've actually mentioned previously here in this slide. The intangible data points, not just from within, but from also outside the organization. So that's what I believe people data is, to just give you a really snapshot of the whole, where the whole HR function has, I personally believe has gone to. And this insight comes from the variety of companies that we've observed. We have almost 24 case studies in our book. Both Dave and I went to these companies, we talked to them, and now I feel that because of the pandemic, it's really important for HR practitioners to gear up to be able to build that culture. So this is a really important issue. Otherwise, I think HR will relinquish in the future. So this is just a very brief snapshot, but our book has probably 350 pages of information, which I wanted to provide value to the fraternity. So that's the easiest way to say. The people analytics leader is the person basically who is right below the CPO, the chief people officer, the person that I mentioned, and guides the whole of the strategic function, the data driven people function. So basically all the insights that the chief people officer gets, or the chief human resource officer, that is what the what I think the people analytics leader helps them. And I've also given a definition in our book around that.
Definitely. You've talked about the people analytics leader, you've talked about people evangelists, you've talked about your chief people's officer. So, what kind of capabilities do these people kind of possess that you would like to elaborate on? Or you think that organizational leaders should kind of incorporate these leadership roles? And what kind of capabilities will they be possessing?
I think it is important to understand that there are 6 capabilities that we talk about. I'm going to be talking about them, and I was talking about this yesterday with the HR fraternity in India as well, and the day before that. So the important thing to understand is there are 3 elements to where you can push your function to be more of a strategic function. You need to have the right technology in place, you need to have the right data in place, and you need to have the right capabilities in place. Just having probably having less than one, like not having the technology, would probably have an issue. Not having the right data would also have the issue, because a lot of people have the technology, they have the capability, but they don't have the data necessarily in place. So it's about having a combination of these 3 things, which is very important.
And how do you think organizations can make the best use of these kind of resources or these kind of technologies in order for them to benefit in the long run?
There we've talked about a multiplicity of technologies that are available. So I think it's important to understand what type of technology is required, at which level your company is functioning at that point in time. So sometimes an example is you can just start off with an Excel sheet, depending on your need, right? So it all depends on the need, on the capability, on the maturity of the HR function. It's not necessarily that you have to invest very heavily on a particular technology in point in time. So the people analytics course that we want to launch, or the collaboration initiative that we want to do, this initiative ourselves, would take you through that program. The other thing, you talked about capabilities. So I think there are 6 main capabilities. The first is the people analytics leader enables the chief people officer to design that culture. Now that you've seen everything's gone digital, right? So this technology, or the use of technology, will enable the people analytics leader, once you understand what capability you need. So the 6 skills, or the 6 capabilities. The first one is to be more of a culture and employee experience facilitator. That's the role. That's the first role. The second role is to be able to design to be able to be a design and productivity architect. So looking at the job designs and changing them in a different way, because everyone's now working from home, their productivity is affected, and is affected on a multiplicity of levels. If you're an example is if you're with a family, if you're working alone, if you have parents to take care of, the time taken to you to do a particular task has changed. We recently at Optimizr did a survey of almost 200 people, and they came back and said probably 88% of people are actually giving almost 8 hours or more time, the amount of time that they used to work in their office. And that means that they're investing huge amounts of time working from home. They're not taking those lunch breaks that they used to. They're not taking those, I think, I would say, small talking breaks that they used to, having those conversations. And research suggests that, on an average, the productivity or the people who work only 4 to 5 hours. The third is having that data and analytics capability to translate that data, to be able to. The fourth is be able to develop integrate technology, which we've talked about. And the fifth is being able to be a talent practice enabler. So the talent that you have, you need to be able to utilize that talent. And the last is probably being an educator and a coach, because education has changed, where we're taking bite-sized information, especially with programs like LinkedIn is offering now. Amazing programs. You can do lots of programs, but the question that probably the people analytics leader would ask is the, what level of capability you require, and then provide that essential experience for you to grow and to be able to have the strategic, the right person at the right place at the right time. So these are all I think the major issues currently with people with the HR function. That's why people are saying that we've reduced the amount of spending in the HR function or the learning and development function, because you don't have the data that can give you the financial insight towards how that is measured in the element of business performance, right?
Definitely. So we have a question from our audience. Sania Nadeem asked this question: that what kind of skills should a people analyst leader or a people analyst have in order for them to kind of implement that within their role or within their field?
I think these are the six skills that I mentioned.
The six capabilities.
More or less the six skills. I don't want to repeat them.
Yeah.
Have a different question.
So these are the six capabilities, and they will be counted as the skills that a people analytics leader can implement to kind of fit into that role. So
Yes.
Thank you for that insight. So Sania Nadeem, that will answer your question. So adding on to that, Nadeem, so how are some leading companies or some people within this field kind of making use of these capabilities or fitting into that role of a people analytics leader that you would kind of, set a precedence or set an example for?
I think just to say that you'll become a people analytics leader. So there are a variety of factors, right? You need to understand how agile works within an organization, how you're going to implement that in your organization. So it's not just because saying that our organizations become agile. Just all of a sudden we did a couple of trainings. It's about the facilitation of culture. So culture is very important to understand it, to understand how organizational network analysis works, how you're going to analyze all the data that you have. And it's not just big data. Some of the times you have small amounts of data points, which is some data points, as I said, are coming in from the financial systems. Earlier in the presentation that I'd mentioned a few minutes ago, some of them are coming from your commercial insights, some of them from intellectual insights, and human, I think, deployment insights. So do you have the right person at the right time, and the capabilities? So it's all about mapping that, all that intangible value. So the people analytics leader would be someone who has that capability. You don't find that in HR because you don't have a person with that background. It's not taught in academia. It's not taught in any program. I've spent 4 years learning and looking at these different organizations, big and small, like studying organizations across the globe that we've put in the case study. So there are a variety of organizations who are actually, even before the pandemic, were following agile rules, like Cisco and FIS Global, and in instances we have NHS as well. So these are all, and IBM, for example, these are all organizations that went agile before the pandemic hit. So, what were their workforce? How were their workforce basically reporting to their senior management, or how were they in operations? That's the key question that we will be discussing and looking at.
So yes, you talked about the pandemic. So in light of this recent context, and we talk about this real-time context, we talk about how the pandemic has adversely affected different organizations, and some more than many. So in light of the conversation you had regarding how people are working overtime, how people are kind of struggling with this work from home practice, what role does people analytics play in that kind of implementation and kind of giving direction to organizations to kind of form their transformational or organizational strategy relative to this pandemic?
I think it's important now. After 3 months, I've been able to also go through although I was working from home for probably 2 years or so. I had a home office, but when the pandemic hit, my kids and my wife, all of us are now in the same home, and I feel the same way as any employee would be feeling at this point in time. So it was easy for me to say that I've been working from home, but after the pandemic hit, you're actually in a sort of I would say an area where you need to manage both your time, your energy, your resources, and how you mobilize it. So every individual would now need to restructure their thoughts. Leadership theories that were in the past were basically in closed systems like offices, right? And now all these leadership theories would have to re-emerge in a different way. So looking at those in a different way and looking at organizations. So this is more of a practical approach that we need to take. And people who would join us in the program would have their experiential learning within that program. So we want to build the program very different. If we talk about the program as such, so there is no one size fits approach, right? That's what I think the viewers need to understand. There is no one size fit approach. It highly depends where you are, which situation you're at. So your employees need to be treated that way. So it's not going to be a one size fit approach. It has to be customizable. Every job description would be customizable. Every job design, every performance would need to be looked at differently. And that is the key challenge here. And that's what people analytics can solve, looking at that data in granularity.
All right. So we will be taking a few questions. So one of the questions is, do we need to develop a data-driven HR community within an organization?
Yes. I've talked about this, and I was talking about the elements of the future of people analytics as well. Do you have a question regarding that? And then I can just it's like probably a
Yes.
5 minute answer.
People talk about how this kind of HR strategy needs to be implemented. So what kind of data-driven community can people build within these organizations? So that is something you can give insight on.
I've talked about I always talk about this, the importance of what the chief people officer, or let's say the how do you say, the people analytics leader, or his team, because we've talked about the levels of leadership. What the future of people analytics, one of the elements out of the 6 elements is to build communities of practice, right? And to build that community, not just for the HR, but for other people. So if, let's suppose, people are in general management positions, right? Now they're not interacting. Now they're not having those coffee conversations that they used to have, and they used to see each other. So HR's role would be very different, to create those communities within those to create digital communities, something like LinkedIn groups, but then those groups will be managed through that community, and the knowledge would flow. So it's all about knowledge management. It's all about flowing that knowledge within that group and leaving those groups. I'm not saying what HR usually does is act like police, right? Like the police, and try to say, you can post this, you can't post this, and fine people and do this and that. Now people are very, very much, I would say, enthusiastic to share knowledge. The world has changed. The way that people learn is very different. They're more open. And to create those communities, to be able to empower people to learn, that's what HR needs to do, to create that, not just the data-driven culture, but also because people, what might happen is they're going to say, you're looking at our personal data, which obviously someone's written here, about data governance in HR. So you have to
Yeah.
be very critical. You have to be very careful, not critical, but very careful what data you are, I would say, taking from these employees. And you need to have the right GDPR regulations in place. Whether you're in Europe, whether you're in America, or whether you're in Asia, you need to take care of the rights of your employees and not to, you know, not to take the data which you're not supposed to use.
All right. And relative to this insight, one of our viewers also asked that does your book kind of cover the topic about data governance in HR and its relevance in recent time context?
We have covered to a certain level. I'm not saying it goes deep into that level. On It's not really on a superficial level either, but the GDPR regulations is there, where we've mostly talked about how you can become more. The core essence of the book is how you become from a service function. HR transforms from a service function to a very powerful HR function. So powerful people function. We've Dave and I have termed it the powerful people function, right? How do you do that? How do you create that team? What type of capabilities do you need? And part of those capabilities is having a people analytics leader that works. So the track of the people analytics leader is to become the CPO in the future. But the people analytics leader needs to have the capabilities in place so that he or she is ready to be the chief people officer. If you don't have those capabilities, you're nowhere near of becoming a CPO.
Definitely. So coming back to how you were talking about developing this course, like the insight that I have is that we're looking at different platforms, different courses that have already been developed in terms of HR, and how we're selecting a sort of course criteria which can be formed for this people analytics leader course. So how do you think it is different from the other platforms or other courses being offered around HR, and what is the value that you can provide HR leaders or organizational representatives to take up this course?
I think initially all these courses that have been made post-pandemic. They're not live courses. We've looked at most of the service companies that are offering these courses. We're studying. You know better than myself. The whole of our team is studying all of these different courses that are available on a multitude of websites. I'm not saying they're more expensive or cheaper or in that sense, but are they providing value? Our course is a combination of, as I said, what technologies you would need, the capabilities. That would also include analyzing the data, but also someone's mentioned here the ethics of data. We're also going to be touching the ethics of using data, and not to. I've mentioned this before. Uh, Not to use it in a negative way for the employees, and to reduce biasness. Again, no one's talked about that, but there's also an element of biasness. The course is live, right? The other thing is that we're offering an element of that we were talking about yesterday, the element of leadership coaching, which is you won't get in any other course because they're already recorded courses. You just kind of browse through them. So this element of really honing in and really um, contextualizing that program according to the need of your organization is not available there. This is not the first time we're offering the course. This is just the first time we're offering the course online because of the pandemic, because of the reason. We've done this course a lot of times. We've done it for in-house. We've done it for an open program, which I deliver not just here in the UK but globally. So this is a course that I've facilitated many times. This is just the first time that we're doing it online, so it's exciting, and the engagement level, and I think the participation. The only thing that I would want to say to the audience is, um, you know, the next step is for us to gather together and look at the design of the course, because we're getting some questions of what the design would be. So, would you like to add something? What the next step should be?
Yes, I will be adding to it. Just a message for our viewers. If you have any other questions, do note them down in our comments. Relative to what will be happening post this session is that we want to add this feature to the course, that we kind of customize it for organizational representatives, for HR leaders like you, and we want your opinion on what kind of curriculum or what kind of design this course should be having. Because all of these courses online, you will get an insight on what the structure is, and there will be a set structure being followed by each of these courses. But I think it is very important to kind of set the precedence, or kind of set it to your audience, how people will understand it, what kind of platform they're going to be comfortable using, and what kind of insight would they be looking forward to in that course. And I think that is the best element, that this course is customizable to that nature, that it is going to be catering to your needs and catering to what kind of curriculum you expect within that. So I think through that, we can have a better idea on what the structure and design for that course will be. And that is something that you all will be deciding. So following this session, we will be having a Zoom meeting with any interested representatives. Do follow our page on Optimizr, or connect with me or Nadeem. We will be sharing our profile links as well. So we will be hosting a Zoom meeting with interested representatives who can help us design this course, and we will be catering it to the insights and needs that you want us to highlight, with relevant case studies and insights available. So
I think
one,
I'd like to add to this. Sanya has asked, can you expand on the
yeah,
technology aspect that HR analysts should have, with so many softwares, which are one crucial. So, Sanya, what happens, or people who, I think CBA management says, and people analytics provides immense insights and emerges insights with KPIs. Sometimes what happens is, depending on the size of the organization, you might need to look at just the technology aspect of it, or the data and analysis aspect of it, or setting KPIs, right? And all of this, when you go online, you would get bite-sized courses on all of these things. What we're trying to offer is, we're trying to look at what you need, what the I would say, our collaborators, I wouldn't even say clients, or in the case of participants, I would say, we want to collaborate with you, and we want to know what problem you are facing in your organization, what issues you're facing, right? And then through those issues, we want to highlight how we can help your organization grow, right? Instead of saying that this is the general course, you can go and buy the book, and that's more or less everything answered there. But to have that course is to work alongside with us, and obviously, we're constantly reviewing our thoughts in real time. We're getting all the data, all the insights, all the information, all the new innovative reports that have been published, not just before but after the pandemic, post-pandemic. So we want to include all of these aspects. That is one of the reasons why we're saying we want to have a Zoom meeting with people we can interact. This is it's just me and Sabah talking right now.
yeah,
We'd want to have a Zoom meeting where we have people giving their insights, and then I'd say tweaking the course rather than designing it, tweaking the course accordingly.
definitely. And it's also going to be based on the learnings of the book that you've written,
Yes,
Introduction to People
yes.
Analytics.
That's the
And
core. That's the core. Yes. Yes.
yeah, and it will also be focusing on a strategy that is relative to organizations, that people can kind of reduce that knowledge into a sort of curriculum. Also adding on to it, it's going to be more live session based, rather than just a pre-recorded session of
Yes.
this course or outline, which I think is also a differentiating factor for this course as well.
Yes, yes. So I think Mashad has asked about the practical projects. Yes, we
Yeah,
won't have real data, in the sense I can't share any data from any organization, but you'll have some sort of data set with you that you can analyze, that is a must. Obviously, if we're using that, you'd have, even with technology, Sanya has mentioned, we will look at every technology possible available on this planet Earth. I'm not talking about planet Mars or Jupiter or Venus for that matter, but we've looked at all the different technologies that are available. I'm not saying that we're going to hop on and start using those technologies, but you will get the insights. And according to your organization, if you're using a particular technology, we will try and look at what the benefits of that technology is, and or if you want to gauge the different technologies, or you want to adapt to different technologies, we're open to do that, because we've worked with different organizations in the past to help them adapt to different technologies.
Definitely. Okay. So thank you so much, Nadeem, for offering this insight. And if you guys have any other questions, do let us know in the comments. Nadeem, as an ending insight, what is your message for organizational leaders who will be opting for this course? Definitely, we've given them an outline of how it's going to be, what is the procedure following the session, and what is your message for these organizational leaders who will be coming down to this platform and kind of availing this course?
One of the key messages that I have is, a people analytics leader is an individual that helps the business align the people strategy or the strategic workforce planning to the business strategy. Right. So if you want to become a real strategist, if you want to go into the boardroom, if you want to be able to give financial insights on the human capital of the business, on the intangibles of the business, this is the program for you. And if you want to be just an HR, simple administrative individual, then I don't think this is the course for you.
All right. So thank you so much, Nadeem. Just a last note for our viewers that we will be launching our Decode series and this People Analytics program course after the session. Do follow me and Sabah Javed and Nadeem Khan on LinkedIn. And we will be getting back to you with details regarding the series if you want to be part of it, and regarding this course if you want to enroll in it. So I think that's all for today. We will be posting about these updates on our channels, on our platforms. Do follow Optimizr as well. And I think it was a good session. And thank you so much to our audience
Thank you.
and people who have joined us today.
Thank you. Someone's asked about, just the last question. Someone's asked about a certificate. Yes, our
Yeah.
company has been registered in the UK. It is an official company based in the UK, and we've been functioning for the past 2 years. We've worked. Our clients are mostly European, so the certificate would also be issued by the company, not by myself, obviously, but by the company. So it is something that would be very formal in practice. And I think these points that Sanya has mentioned, I can definitely share with them. And if you have any questions, please do reach out to us. Share this course with friends, with your colleagues. And I think it's very important for us to join hands and collaborate as an HR fraternity to help each other grow. That is very important. Otherwise, we all will suffer in the end. So thank you so much, Sabah. Thank you for your time. Thank you, everyone who's
Thank you so
attended.
much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.